Hello friends, Miss Kathleen here at the Louisville Zoo, and today we're going to do a very special program for you. We call it Creature Feature because we're going to feature some of our amazing ambassador animals. So friends, these are animals that we use here at the Louisville Zoo for our education programs. They're really cool animals, and Miss Kenzie and I, who's behind the camera today, chose animals we thought you would really enjoy seeing this morning or afternoon, whatever time of day you may be viewing this. Okay, so let's get started. The first animal we're going to see is a reptile. Now you might know reptiles as animals that have scales, things like snakes, lizards, turtles, and crocodiles. We're going to take a look at a lizard that is an amazing ambassador animal. He actually has a name. His name is Magic. So let me reach over here and I'll get Magic out of his container that he can travel in. He's got a lovely little home that he lives in, which is set up to look like a desert because these animals are found in desert regions of Australia. Let's say hello to our friend Magic. Hi Magic. You can kind of see the coloration would help it to blend in with the sand and rocks and things in the Australian deserts where it would live. And of course, if an animal blends in, we call that camouflage. Let's see some of its other features. It's got scaly skin. It's a little bit rough to the touch. And you've probably already noticed it has some little spiky scales as well. Now, when we touch those little spiky scales, they don't really hurt, but they do look a little fearsome to potential predators. And there's another very special behavior this animal can do to help it to kind of startle or scare away potential threats or enemies. It's called a bearded dragon because it has this little kind of flap of skin under its chin, kind of like your uncle or granddaddy might have a beard, and he can do something very special with that. If he feels frightened or threatened, what he will do is puff that beard out and proceed to look really big and bad. And he'll puff his body out and those spiky scales will stand out. And then he probably will be able to scare away something that might want to have him for lunch, right? So he can kind of threaten and scare other animals away. You see how that beard just turns dark. Now, another thing we wanted to see him do today is have a little snack. I wonder what bearded dragons would like to eat. Well, in nature, this little guy would probably eat mostly plant matter. So things like, leaves, flowers, stems, and all of those good things. But they also enjoy a little protein in their diet once in a while. So for a very special treat, a couple times a week, we will give Magic things like crickets and mealworms to eat. So let's see if he would like to enjoy a little snack today. He's already had his salad breakfast, which is very healthy. And a little protein is good for him. I'm going to put him back in his little container so he doesn't get too excited and maybe, skid around on our table here. Okay, Magic. And Miss Kenzie's going to sort of aim the camera down here for him and for you to see a little better view. It sometimes takes a moment for him to, kind of track the movement of mealworms. There you go, Magic. Oh, see his eyes can kind of look to the sides as well in front a little bit. All right, come on, friend. If you notice some little holes on the sides of his head, those are his ears. So he's very good at hearing sounds as well. Okay, come here. He's looking at me, but we want him to look at the mealworms, don't we? Here's your snack. Here you go, friend. Sometimes it takes him a moment to see them in action. What really draws him into those mealworms is their movement. He likes to see them kind of squiggling and moving around. These little mealworms are actually beetle larvae. When they, go through metamorphosis, they become beetles. Sometimes people use these when they go fishing. They make good fish bait. Here we go. Oh my! Magic. Whoa, whoopsies. Here we go. Oh, he's liking those mealworms. Whoops, not your toes. With the mealworms. Good job. Now we might think it doesn't sound very appetizing to eat mealworms, but watch Magic go. Look, he gets so excited, his little body puffs up and sometimes a little beard sticks out, hunting for worms. Ooh! I don't know if you can hear it, but they actually make a little crunching sound when he eats them. Oh, Magic. Ooh. Inside its mouth, it's kind of like a bright orangey yellow color. Maybe that's why they're called dragons. Because, of course, they can't breathe fire. And we know that that's for imaginary animals, right? But it kind of looks sort of like a fiery color. Maybe that's why they're called bearded dragons. What do you think? All right, thank you, Magic. We're gonna let him digest his mealworms. All right, now the next animal we're gonna get out is a mammal. And instead of having scales, scaly skin like reptiles for a body covering, most mammals have, you'll notice some hair or fur in their bodies. Now this animal does not have soft, fluffy fur. Instead, it's just a little spiky and prickly. That's why Miss Kathleen's going to put on some gloves. And it's not because I'm afraid this animal is going to hurt me at all. They're actually very gentle little animals. But sometimes when they're little spikes, the weight of their spikes on your hands when you're holding them, or if they move and shift around a little bit, it can feel a little prickly. Oh, listen to this. Miss Kenzie's gonna come in close to see our friend Rollo. Rollo, are you sniffing the air? You might know that Rollo is a hedgehog. Yay! This is an African pygmy hedgehog. So naturally they come from Africa. The word pygmy usually refers to something that's a little bit smaller. There are also European hedgehogs, which are larger than these little guys. So Rollo is an extremely cool animal. Just check out all of those little spikes on Rollo's body. Hedgehogs have a lot of cool behaviors that they can do as well. Adaptations are behaviors or features that help animals to survive. So one adaptation that this animal has, of course, is those spiky little spines. And a lot of animals would not want a big mouthful of prickly spines to eat. If you look, I'm not sure if we can really get a view of Rollo's belly, but there are not any prickly little spines on Rollo's belly. So in order to protect that kind of soft belly, they roll up into a ball. Now, Rollo is not very scared at the moment because she's used to being handled, but hedgehogs are able to roll up into a ball. They have these incredible muscles on the sides of their body that they can just kind of tighten up real quickly. It's kind of like if you have one of those little drawstring packs or bags, just whoop, they muscles kind of contract and they curl up very, very quickly and protect their belly, their face, their little feet. Notice that Rollo is just sniffing, sniffing, sniffing. Maybe she smells some of those mealworms that our bearded dragon got to have for a treat. Hedgehogs are insectivores, so I'm sure you've guessed that insectivore means an animal that eats insects. So picture this little animal out in nature, kind of sniffing around, maybe under some wood or leaves or in grasses or even underground to smell for some bugs to eat. That sounds like a great way to spend a little time in a hedgehog's world. They are nocturnal animals, so what does that mean? You know that means they come out at nighttime. So Rollo usually likes to curl up and sleep during the day. Thanks, Rollo, for letting us have a look at your lovely spikes today and your amazing cute face. Okay, next up, we're going to see another scaly animal. Do any of you folks like snakes? Well, we're going to show you a snake today. And this snake's name is Otis. Let's take a look at Otis. Okay. When we transport snakes from one area to another to teach, we will put them in a nice plastic container. All of these containers have holes in them, boys and girls, so the animals can breathe. And we do one additional kind of measure for snakes. We put them in a pillowcase. Now I'm sure if you're at home, you want to see a pillow inside a pillowcase, right? Well, our snakes feel very comfortable inside a pillowcase. It's cozy in there, it's dark. They can kind of curl up and maybe sleep a little bit if they need to. It also is one more added measure, because snakes have very strong muscles, to keep them from potentially popping a top off of a container, maybe if the container wasn't sealed exactly perfectly. So let's go ahead and meet our friend Otis. Not everybody's crazy about snakes. You might love snakes. Maybe you've seen some out in nature. Now, if you're outside roaming around in nature and you see a snake, do you want to pick it up? Well, really, no. You don't want to try to pick up wild animals like that. Any wild animal that feels maybe afraid or isn't used to people might feel a need to defend themselves or protect themselves, and they could potentially bite, right? All right, so let's meet Otis. Otis, of course, is used to people handling him. And Otis is a type of snake called a ball python. Let's watch Otis move here for just a moment. I think snakes move so gracefully. Hi, Otis. And Otis is one of our favorite types of snakes. So once again, it's called a ball python. And if you're familiar with boa constrictors or pythons, they are constrictor snakes. And that means that they squeeze their prey. So when Otis grabs a prey animal, like, in the wild, maybe a small mammal or bird or something, they would certainly hang on to it with those teeth. All snakes have teeth. It's not a venomous snake, however, but they have to hang on to their prey with something. They don't have any arms or legs. So they hang on with those teeth, and then they wrap those coils around, and then they begin to squeeze. And pretty soon they squeeze the air out of their prey until the prey can no longer inhale and fill its lungs. And then they, after a minute or two, they're just going to pass out. And then the snakes eat those animals whole. They swallow their prey whole. Can you imagine trying to eat something like, a banana without chewing it, or eating a pork chop without chewing it? We have to chew our food, right? Now, what is Otis doing with that tongue? There's a very important reason why Otis is sticking his tongue out. He's not trying to be rude. Snakes use their tongue to help them smell. Now, we use our noses to help us smell, right? And Otis does have nostrils. Otis uses his nostril for breathing, right? Breathing in and out. But when Otis sticks out that tongue, he's able to kind of smell what scents are in the air. Just like you and I can smell odors in the air. Maybe if, we smell popcorn popping or something along those lines, or Otis can smell scents in the air. So when Otis sticks his tongue out, he's getting little air molecules on his tongue. And then he pulls that tongue back in, kind of flicks it over these two holes in the roof of his mouth, called the Jacobson's organ. And that sends messages to Otis's brain to tell him what he is smelling. So Otis, in survival mode, would need to smell for food, right? What's out there that's good to eat? Anything close by? Otis would also need to smell for danger. Are there any predators nearby that Otis would need to be aware of and maybe hide or be still and camouflage? Is there another ball python nearby? So those are things that Otis would need to know with his sense of smell. I love to look at the colors on this snake. So from the top you see beautiful shades of brown. You see dark brown, some light brown, maybe a little bit of white outlines or something. So if this snake happens to be sitting in some brownish grass or up in a tree, this snake would be camouflaged, right? Would kind of blend in. And it's also camouflaged from the bottom. Look at its belly scales, kind of light on the bottom. So if Otis is sitting up in a tree, and an animal looks up into a tree, they will see bright sunlight and the light color of Otis's belly and not be able to really detect there is a snake there. Otis is just one of my favorite snakes. So why are snakes important in nature? Some people don't like snakes, and that's okay, but there are reasons why they have special jobs to do in nature. They control the rodent population. So animals like snakes and owls and hawks and things will eat a lot of mice, rats, and things like that, other little creatures that might potentially get into farmers' crops and do some damage, or other things like that, maybe spread diseases. So snakes have a very important role to play in nature. So thank you, Otis, for helping us to learn something about snakes. We'll put Otis back in the pillowcase, in the container, and then back into his home in just a few minutes. Hi, Otis. Otis kind of likes to stay out to explore. Now, one thing that's interesting about snakes is that they're very, very flexible and bendy and twisty, right? We mentioned that they have muscles. However, if we also look inside of a snake's body, do they have bones? Like you and I have some sharp, hard bones in our body. We have a skeleton to help give our body some structure and support. That's a good question. So think about it for a minute. What do you think? Well, let's take a look. Here I have, in this plastic container, a snake skeleton, a collection of bones inside an animal's body. So they do have inside bones like you and I do. I think this is like a nature's beautiful work of art. Look at all of those bones. They've got a whole lot of vertebrae or backbones going down the length of their body. These little thin ones all coming out from the side are their ribs. Pretty cool. Check that out. Of course, the head is right here, all the way down to the thinner tail. So yes, snakes do have bones. All right, for our very last little creature in our creature feature, we've got a warm fuzzy. So we've seen two scaly animals that are reptiles so far. We saw one mammal that wasn't exactly snuggly, cuddly looking. And then we have a beautiful little mammal called a chinchilla. Have you heard the word chinchilla before? If you ever have an occasion to touch a chinchilla, they are one of the softest things you would ever feel. Softer than my favorite blanket at home, softer than my pillow, is little Luna, our chinchilla. Sometimes she fusses just a little bit when we go to pick her up, but she's pretty much okay with it. Hi, Luna. Oh, look at this little beautiful creature. If you're wondering what in the world kind of animal a chinchilla is, they are actually rodents. So they are closely related to things like, oh, maybe you have a pet rodent at home, like a hamster or a gerbil or a guinea pig. And they're related also to squirrels, chipmunks, rats, mice, and porcupines. Now they happen to be just very fluffy and adorable. And you can see some of the special features that Luna has. Of course, their luxurious soft fur. Oh my goodness. Sometimes it looks like we're squeezing them when we're holding them, but I'm just kind of supporting her body. You know, on our bodies, we have a little hair, correct? So on your body, you might look at your arm and see a little bit of hair coming out of some little, you really can't see the openings, but on our body, we have little hair follicles that grow hair, and they kind of emerge from our skin. For every little hair follicle we have on our bodies, we have one, usually, maybe two hairs coming out of it. For every hair follicle on Luna's body, a chinchilla will have 50 to 60 hairs coming out of its body. That gives the chinchilla its incredible, silky, fine coat of fur, because they live in the Andes Mountains, boys and girls, where it's so cold and windy. So they encounter every day of their lives rocks and a little bit of snow and ice. And they have to live in those conditions. So to have a fur coat like this absolutely helps to keep them warm and cozy in their mountain environment. You might also notice those little whiskers, just twitching, twitching, twitching. Animals that have whiskers use those to help them feel their way around. This is also a nocturnal animal. So Luna comes out at night, uses those whiskers to feel her way around. And she would also maybe be able to gauge what size opening of, rocks, cracks and crevices she can fit into, if maybe there's a predator nearby. And her dark coloration kind of blends in with the night sky. She has big ears, so she can hear for sounds of predators. Now this animal happens to be a plant eater, and we call plant eaters herbivores. Chinchillas are herbivores, so she would scurry around spending time looking for plants to eat, and she would not really find any liquid water to drink. So chinchillas basically have to get all the water that they need from the plants that they eat. They're not going to eat snow or ice to get water, because that would make their bodies extra cold inside. They would feel cold, and they wouldn't want to do that. Now, how would this chinchilla clean herself? Maybe you've seen, cats kind of licking their fur to clean off, or other animals kind of, cleaning with water. Ooh, Luna does not do that. In the wild, there's no liquid water, once again, to bathe in. But they do need to keep their fur fluffed up so it keeps them as warm as possible. So they will roll around in a little bit of maybe, rocky dust or soil or something to keep their hair free of dirt and oil and moisture. So here's Luna's bathtub. We're gonna let her kind of roll around in this. This is a little bit of ground volcanic rock, pumice, and they love to roll around in this dust and take a little dust bath. Go, Luna. Oh, she likes that. After we hold her, her fur feels a little matted down, maybe with a little oil or sweat from our hands. Woo, that has to feel good. What a bathtub. Chinchillas really enjoy their dust bath. They just do that instinctively. Now she's extra fluffy and poofy and clean, just the way she likes to be. All right, so that's the last animal we have to show you today, boys and girls, for our creature feature. We hope you enjoyed learning all about some of these ambassador animals today, and we hope you come and visit us at the Louisville Zoo to see a lot more beautiful animals in some of their habitats. Take care, have a great day, bye-bye.